We're going to come back to that later, and I will give you an example of, can you still hear me here?
Yeah.
I will give an example of when networking actually might be a waste of time for you. So we'll come back to that. What's your biggest networking challenge? Anyone? Remembering to show up?
I forgot.
Yeah, you can have. Yes.
Networking with the right people. Networking with the right people.
With the right people, as opposed to the left people. Okay. Anything else?
Finding time. Keeping track of all the business cards.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Linda, did you have your hand up?
No, but I guess basically I can quick answer your
No, you didn't have your hand up. Okay. That gets you off the hook. Yes.
Piquing someone's interest in what it is that you have in a very short period of time.
Yeah, I like to think of that as being unforgettable in a good way. Any others?
Follow up.
Follow up, yes. Okay. I think we're going to be covering all of those. We just have a short time this morning, so I need to get moving here. But first, let's talk about what professional networking is. Live, face-to-face communication with the intention to deeply and quickly connect and build a relationship with the people that you meet. Now, when you think about that definition, there are a lot of elements to it, but it's important, and all of them are required to become what I call a professional networker. Now, I've been connecting with people since I was 5 years old, and that's another story I don't have time to tell you today. Since then, I've had many decades of experience in networking all around this country and even in Canada. And what I found in all of those years and all of those thousands of people that I've met is about 85% of the people that I've met I would classify as amateur networkers. About 12%, and it might be stretching it a little, but I'm sticking with 12% of the people I've met I would consider professional networkers. And you'll find out in a few minutes what that criteria is. And only about 3% I would consider master networkers. That's a whole different level. But today we're going to be talking about professional networking. And the question on all of your minds right now might be, well, Tony, why should I even care about professional networking? I'm probably doing okay right now. Well, maybe you are, and if you are, that's great. But professional networkers know that networking done properly can be one of the best and fastest ways for you to make money for yourself and for your company. Professional networkers are confident in their abilities to network. And as you may know, competence breeds confidence. So they have the self-confidence that they need, they have the skills and the practice to use that gives them the ability or capability to build relationships with just about anyone they choose. Think about that. Imagine yourself as a professional networker and what doors might open for you if that were you. So let's talk about the first of the 5 things that professional networkers do that you don't yet. Number 1, you must have or develop a genuine interest in people. You see, if you don't have an interest in people, you're going to really struggle with networking. And it doesn't matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. You can develop an interest in people. And it's important to do so. Many years ago, Dale Carnegie wrote a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And everything he said in that book then is still true today. And one of the favorite things that I like from the book, one of my favorite quotes from him is, you can make more new friends in 2 months by being interested in other people than you can in 2 years trying to get other people interested in you. Think about that. You must have or develop a genuine interest in people. And think about what you can learn from the people that you meet. What you can learn about them also. Learn from them and learn about them. So develop that genuine interest in people. You will be excited to meet people. It'll be more fun, and it will also help you do the next 4 things that you must do well to become a professional networker. The second thing, and I'm bracing myself for the groans here because I know I'm going to get them. You must learn, remember, and use people's names. Now, how many people are great at remembering names? Good. What's your name?
I forgot.
Jim.
Yep.
Okay, Jim. Jim's the only one who raised his hand. I was hoping there'd be at least one. As you can see, it's not most people's strength. And it's very important. Again, going back to Dale Carnegie, it's a great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think you can still get it in libraries and maybe some other places. He says, or said, a person's name to that person is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Now, we don't like to admit it, but we love to hear our own name. It's human nature. So, if you want to become a professional networker and operate at the professional level, you are going to have to learn to first get their names, use them, and remember them. Now, this is such a widespread issue that I'm adding a module in my newest workshop where I'm going to be teaching people how to remember names. And I don't have the time today to go into all of that, but I will give you one good tip that can get you started. And you can, as soon as you start implementing this, become better at remembering people's names. Excuse me. We heard about focus a few minutes ago from our first speaker. And focus is critical in networking. So when you're approaching someone at an event like this, or they're approaching you, you might want to start running through your mind, what's her name, what's her name, what's her name? Notice I'll use her rather than him mostly. What's her name, what's her name, what's her name, what's her name? And as soon as you're together, and she says, hi, my name is Linda. I just met Linda earlier. You listen, you hear Linda, and you say something like, nice to meet you, Linda. Pleased to meet you, Linda, whatever you're comfortable with. But first you hear the name. If you don't hear it, you'll never remember it. Then you repeat it. During your conversation, use it 2 to 3 more times. And when your conversation is over, nice to meet you, Linda. Looking forward to seeing you again. As soon as you can, after you part company, make a note. You write Linda's name down, where she works, what you learned about her, what's important, any little notes that you can that will help you remember them. You write it on a piece of paper or put it in your phone. That one step alone will help you begin to remember people's names much better. And let me... 10 minutes, right, Eric? Let me pose a situation to you. You have 2 people who are trying to sell you a product or service. Now, although the two people would radically disagree, from your perspective, the product or service they're wanting to sell you are virtually identical. One of these people you see very often, they always remember your name, they talk to you, they use your name when they're talking to you, they don't try evasive issues like, I don't want him to know, I don't remember his name. But they're very good, and they make you feel good. It makes you feel like they're interested in you. I mean, after all, they remember your name. The second person, again, similar product from your perspective, but that second person struggles, and most of the time doesn't remember your name. Think about that for a minute. You're interested in the product. Which one will get the order from you? Is it going to be the one that remembers your name and makes you feel good and feel like they're interested in you, or the one that doesn't remember your name? Probably a pretty easy answer to that, yes? Names are important to people. Remember them, learn them, remember them, and use them. Third thing you must do to operate at the professional level is when you are talking to the people you meet, you must focus on them and you must listen to understand. Most of us, as soon as we meet someone and they start talking, we start thinking about, now what am I going to say? What am I going to say? As soon as she's finished talking, oh yeah, I'm going to say this. Well, she's talking, you don't hear anything, maybe a word or two here and there, but you don't hear what she says because you're so focused on what you're going to say to her. Well, that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You should be fully focused on her. You should be hearing everything that she says. You should be listening to understand every word that she says. You should be watching her with your eyes, watching her body language, watching her movements. I call it whole body listening. There are so many clues. Sorry about that. There are so many clues that people give us when we meet them and when we talk to them that we miss, that we're not even paying attention. And then when they are done speaking, you respond with a question or with a comment that lets them know you were paying attention. And you'll be amazed at how surprised they're going to be. So, listen to understand, respond appropriately so they know that you understand. So far, you've developed an interest in people. You've learned their name, and now you're even listening to what they're telling you and responding appropriately. Fourth thing, you must connect with people. Now, one of the issues was finding the right people as opposed to the left people, and connecting with people is critical. Now, when I say connection, what I mean is a deep emotional connection, or some people might call it a deep energetic connection. But it is a deep connection, and it may sound silly until you actually experience it, to think that after 3 or 4 minutes or 5 minutes, you might be able to connect on a deep level. But I guarantee you it can happen, and it happens for me most of the time. Now, I will add the caveat that you won't want necessarily to form a deep emotional or energetic connection with everyone. You're going to want to pick and choose the people that you do that with. But the ideal thing is for you to have the capability to do that. So you pick and choose who you connect with emotionally and who you're going to build your relationships with. Okay, so that's the fourth thing, connection. The fifth thing is you need to offer this person you've just met something of value. And there are 3 options there. Actually, there are more, but we're going to talk about 3. The first one is introduce them to someone. Thank you. Here, if you meet someone here at an event like this, and you see someone that you know that you think is a good fit for this person you just met, walk them over to that person and introduce them. And when I say a good fit, I mean it can be something that you learned about the person business-wise or a hobby. It doesn't matter what it is, some connection that based on what you've learned, and you've learned a lot if you've done your job properly already, introduce them to someone there. If you know there's someone that you should introduce them to that's not there, arrange for that later. And if you do it in person, introducing them, that's great. Second thing, second option, coach them. Now, don't be afraid of that word. I use that word. I happen to be a coach. I use that word a lot. But you could think of it as advice. But the idea is you give them something of value. Coach them or give them some advice, something that you know, that you've experienced, that you know can help them. It's like a gift to them of something that you know will make them happy or help them with something you know that will help them. The third thing is you can give them something like a link to a video, a copy of an article, a link to an article. You can do anything that you know might connect them. And again, this could be, maybe they've mentioned a hobby, and you read something recently about that. Or maybe it's related to their business or their industry. But you give them something of value. You can email it to them, meet them for coffee, however you want to deliver it. But you follow up, pick at least one of those three things, those three kinds of things, to give them something of value. Then, from there on, it's follow up, follow up, follow up. Now, at the beginning, I said I was going to give you a circumstance, a situation where networking might be a waste of your time. If you are not constantly learning and growing and becoming a better networker, if you happen to get stuck at the area where a typical sales manager, I love to use this example, a lot of sales managers will say to salespeople, okay, go to this networking meeting, I paid a lot of money to belong to this organization, I want you to give your card to everyone there. And that new salesperson goes out, and sure enough, they work their rear end off, they give their business card to everyone there, they don't connect with anybody. What happens to those cards? They get thrown away. It's a waste of the salesperson's time, and it's a waste of the time of the people they give the card to, and the business card too, although they're not very expensive. It's a waste of time all the way around. If you're not connecting with people, you're not progressing. You're not going to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. I mean, presuming that you're there to build some kind of profitable relationships. Profit doesn't have to be just money. It can be referrals. It can be a lot of other things. So, I put some cards to Eric. Eric, raise your hand. My friend Eric Matt's in there. Some business cards. Anyone who wants to follow up with me, ask questions, or learn a little bit more about what I do or how I do it, pick up a card there. Just going to say one more thing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Judd. Judd reminded me, my books are all in storage right now, so I couldn't bring one to show you. If you're interested in, any of you know Brian Tracy, that name, go to Amazon.com/author, like writer, author, /Tony Sidio, TonySidio. Pick up my card if you know the spelling. And you can learn a little more about the books there. The first 5 people who email me saying they would like one of those 2 books, I will send you a PDF version free autograph.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Okay, if you want to give an announcement,